Welcome back to How Did You Get Here? I am your host, Maya Kruger, and these are the themes of the week. These are themes that came up a lot during my sessions this week, and these are my musings on them after hours. Here goes. So today we have two really juicy and deep and very personal ones, also very uncomfortable topics, but surprisingly, they're very much connected. The first is about looking at our parents not just as our caregivers, but also maybe as the source of our wounding. And the second is a question many of us have asked ourselves, especially in these very politically tumultuous times, especially when we see someone we know undergo a very radical change. The question being, was this version of them always there, lying dormant? And if so, how did I not see it? Let's start with the first idea because it's a foundation for so much of our healing. The narrative that we've been given and that we've often internalized is that a good kid is a grateful kid. And to question our parents' actions or to see them as anything other than the source of goodness, and maybe even see them as the source of our wounding, can feel like an act of betrayal on our account, an act of being ungrateful or even bad, and it can trigger a profound sense of guilt and shame. This resistance is more than just cultural, it is biological. Think about it. As children, our survival is entirely dependent on our parents or primary caregivers. Our brains are hardwired to see them as the source of safety, security, and goodness. From an evolutionary standpoint, it's a matter of survival to maintain a positive, idealized view of the people who feed us and shelter us and protect us and hopefully change our diapers and read us a book occasionally. So to acknowledge their flaws, to recognize their limitations, or the harm they may have caused, is to threaten the very foundation of our safety. That's why, even as adults, our psyches fight so hard against this recognition. It's not just a sign of being a bad person. It's the echo of a deeply ingrained survival instinct. But I want to be very clear about something. This isn't about blame. No, this is about clarity. Blame is a finger that we point at someone, often with a sense of anger or moral judgment. It's an accusation that can leave us feeling stuck and resentful, which is not what we're going for. But clarity, on the other hand, it's like turning on a light in a dark room. It's about understanding the cause and effect in your own life story. It's about recognizing that this happened to me, and as a result, I now carry this pattern, this fear, this way of interacting with the world. When we can identify where a wound originated, for example, a parent's constant criticism created a lifelong fear of failure, or their emotional availability led to an insecure attachment style. We aren't saying they were bad people. We are simply organizing our own internal experience. And this clarity is an essential step towards healing. It allows us to stop trying to solve a problem we don't understand. It allows us to stop blaming ourselves for something that was never our fault. And it opens the door to self-compassion, which is the most powerful tool for change. Now let's connect this to our second topic, the idea of radical transformation. We've all seen it. Someone we know, perhaps a friend or a family member, seems to change almost overnight, and we will catch a glimpse of this usually on social media. So their beliefs, their values, their whole way of seeing the world kind of magically shifts dramatically. And this can be jarring, and it often leads us to ask, was this new version always there, lurking behind the surface, beneath the surface, in front of the surface? I don't know, but I did not see it in plain sight. So from a psychological perspective, this is a fascinating question. The idea that a person could undergo such a profound and rapid shift suggests a kind of pre-programmed destiny, as if these radicalized versions of ourselves were always just waiting for the right key to unlock them, or the right disturbing news article to prompt us to really fully shift. But the truth, as always, is way more complex. So while a person's core personality and certain predispositions may be stable, radical shifts in identity and belief systems are often a response to deeply unmet psychological needs. Think back to our earlier conversation about clarity and organization. When a person lacks a clear, coherent narrative for their life, when they feel a sense of internal disorganization, powerlessness, or social isolation, they become more susceptible to external narratives that offer a sense of order, purpose, belongings. I mean, it's like It's like finally there's a grown-up in charge and they have all the answers. So a new ideology, a new community can offer a powerful, ready-made script for a person to adopt. It can provide a sense of agency where there was none before. It can turn confusion into cause and isolation into a shared identity. Suddenly, we are no longer alone. So the radicalized version wasn't necessarily dormant. Instead, a deeply wounded or searching self found a powerful narrative that filled a void. It wasn't about unlocking a pre-existing version of ourselves, but rather about latching onto a new identity to make sense of old, unresolved pain and a lack of a coherent sense of self. And I say this because it's so easy to judge people that seemingly overnight switch over their whole identity. But there's always a really good reason. And this kind of brings us full circle. The work of healing, the work of recognizing our generational wounds and creating our own clear narrative is the very thing that builds resilience against these external forces. When we take the time to understand our own story, to integrate our past into a cohesive and compassionate understanding of who we are, we become our own anchors. We become less susceptible to external narratives that promise to do that work for us. So as you go about your week, I encourage you to think about these two ideas. Where in your life can you see clarity? Not blame, we're not blaming, about your past, and how can you continue to build a strong, integrated sense of self that is resilient and truly your own? I am excited to hear your thoughts and questions and continue this conversation. Until next time, be well, take good care of yourselves. Thank you for listening, and I will see you next time.